Places I needed to get fired up, but looks like we are working now. And so, yeah, what we're going to be talking about today is what's working in the current market with Moxie Indicator and just how things are looking. So, I've got a list of things that we're going to be going through today. But remember, if you guys are interested in the way that I look at the market, how I talk about things, the Moxie Indicator, anything else like that, we've got all sorts of tools for you, education for you, $7 for a 30-day trial to come into the Moxie Indicator trading room. And this is where you can then get all sorts of stuff like this, what I'm about to talk about, and how I educate and teach people and show you guys like what's really going on with the market. So yeah, let's dive into that. And this is kind of the list that I wanted to go through and show you just generally some of the setups that I'm starting to see. I think that these are going to be some fresh names that look like they are starting longer term trends, and I'll explain all that as we go into it. And then crypto, and then gold, because there's a lot to talk about all that stuff too. So this is the list that we're going to just kind of go through fairly quickly. And yeah, I'll move that off over here. And then as far as the market goes, again, kind of want to just add, give context of what's going on. I know we're expecting recession, everything about the yield curve, inversion, uninversion, all those kind of things. But for now, the market has been very, very resilient. It's been holding up very well. And we are staying above the monthly 10. The question is really, how is the market going to react to, say, the recession? For now, we might be in this kind of Goldilocks phase where we are closer to the Fed pausing. We're done tightening for now. However, the market likes that because they don't want the things to keep tightening. But usually, when the Fed then starts to ease and reverse course on their interest rate hikes, it's for bad reasons because the economy is not doing well and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to have to see how the market reacts to that. It could go lower, definitely, but we could also keep chopping sideways. And for now, the market is holding up, and there are opportunities out there. But yes, there are a lot of names that are still just going sideways. Hibernation is kind of the word that I've been using for a lot of these stocks. So we are not in a rip-roaring bull market. I'm not going to be saying that, but there are opportunities out there, and money's got to go someplace. So that's kind of the bigger idea of what we're talking about. And again, these are just larger time frames that I'm looking at, trying to say, hey, if these are going to keep going, this is what I'm looking for. So let's start with one of the more well-known names, ONON. And what you'll see is this list that I picked out has a lot of commonality between each other. Like, what are the common ingredients that are causing these stocks to move up? And I like to start from the monthly and weekly time frame. And you can see here, prices over the monthly 10. Here, prices over the weekly 50, the weekly 30. The 8 is over the 21. And we have the Moxie indicator starting to fire too. You can see that with the green price trigger. And so we have a name like this that's up. Okay, well, how do we start getting into something like this? And remember, I'll show you a few names that are in kind of a couple different positions, because while it is up here and it is extended, okay, it could keep going higher, but don't be surprised if it also takes a pretty big pullback before then going up again. NRDS, it has done something like that. And we just need to remember that stocks don't always just go straight up. They ebb and they flow. And so while this one is here, at some point, it could also come back down and then move up again like that. All right. So let me kind of come down here. We'll show you this down here, and you can see that what do we have? Well, we have the 8 crossing over the 21. Again, the definition of a trend change is when the fast moving average goes over the slow moving average, and we start seeing things like this. So again, with the list of names that we're looking at, I'm seeing those kind of things. And for now, yes, this is a continuing to the upside. So we'll have to kind of figure out how to get into it, but don't necessarily blindly hold these things, because even good, strong names can have significant pullbacks. So let me show you what that might look like over here. We come over to NRDS. So you can see with NRDS, basically the same thing. Price over the monthly 10. You see the Moxie price trigger firing. You could see at one point price over the weekly 30, the weekly 50, the 8 over the 21. And it had a good move. And just like ONON, you can see here we had a great move, but got a little overbought, right? And so what did it do? A pretty hefty pullback. Now, if I remember, from this low to the high, we're about a 618 retracement. You can also see that price came right back down to its previous high. And you can even see maybe this was a pretty good move at the time, but it pulled back again into this level. So just remember that as names are basing like this and that they do finally start to get going, they're going to ebb and flow, ebb, flow, that kind of situation. Okay. So if you're a longer term investor, fine, maybe you can hang on to something like this. But for us who are a little bit more agile, we can see a run up like this, and then we can also start maybe building another position as like that. And you can find those areas where price is going to carve like that. So again, if you look at this compared to ON, hey, great move. It was on earnings, all that kind of stuff. You can see back here, the 50 crossed over the 200 and the 50 stayed over the 200. So this is what you just do. You wait for it to pull back and you see if there's an opportunity to start getting into it on a low right there. Okay. So that's NRDS. And then IoT. I always want to say Internet of Things. And what do we have? Price over the monthly 10. There's the Moxie price trigger. You can see the 8 crossing over the 21, and you can see price over the weekly 30 and price over the weekly 50. Same ingredients, right? And you can even see this one had a double bottom before finally moving up. Now, again, just like the others, again, you're going to see a lot of similarities between these. This is why I'm picking these. And you can see that what happened? Well, price got a little overbought. There was a gap also, and it did pull back, but then decided it wanted to keep going. Okay. So we can trade these long for as long as possible. But just like I showed you with NRDS, don't be surprised if even a good, strong, healthy stock needs to have a pretty healthy pullback too. So just be on guard for any of those situations. And again, with the daily chart, what do you see? 50 crossing over the 200, and things are working out to the upside for something like this. So we'll have to kind of keep seeing if this name can keep going, and maybe pullbacks will continue to be viable on something like IoT. How about IonQ? Now, maybe just beginning. Again, I'm showing you stuff that is in a variety of positions and setups. Maybe they will work, maybe they won't. But to show you the ingredients of what's happening, well, we have price over the monthly 10. And basically, there's your double bottom. You do have price over the weekly 50, over the weekly 30. The 8 is over the 21. The Moxie indicator is close to crossing. Maybe this is going to be like nerds in RDS where they had that first move and then a pullback, and then we have a bigger second move. So again, one of these things to just kind of keep on your list and keep watching to see if it's going to continue turning into something pretty solid. How about the daily chart? What do we see? Well, daily 50 crossing over the daily 200. So again, watch these pullbacks and see if there will be areas to pick them up at. All right, so IonQ, DUOL. I mean, right? We're starting to see some similarities. Price over the monthly 10. There's the Moxie price trigger. You have got the weekly 8 or the weekly 21. You have price over the weekly 30, and all of it's over the weekly 50. And you could say there's your double bottom also. And then if we come over here, daily chart, what do we got? 50 crossing over the 200. Okay, so we're seeing these commonalities of what's happening. Now again, maybe this thing's a little up there, maybe a little extended. Okay, it could keep going, but be aware that if there is a pullback, that pullback could be healthy. Just like what we saw, this was a fairly decent pullback, but earnings was good, and they pushed it up on volume. So keep watching for those things. And then OSCR, another one. And you can see just maybe at the beginning stages of starting to move up. What do we got? Price over the monthly 10. We have the weekly 8 over the 21. You've got the Moxie price trigger firing. You have price over the weekly 30, and you have price over the weekly 50. Again, all the same kind of basic ingredients that it takes in order for price to move up. And on the daily chart, what do we also have? Well, 50 crossing over the 200. That's going to be a common thing that you see in through here. And what's nice about something like this is, well, it's already pulling back. So now we just have to kind of keep waiting and watching and seeing when this pullback is going to find support and maybe the next opportunity to the upside would be. All right, then let's go to DNMR. Again, maybe just at the beginning stages of a move to the upside. And, some of these may work, some of them may not. So we're just trying to put them out here, but we have price over the monthly 10. You've got your level. You have the Moxie price trigger firing. You have the 8 over the 21. You have price over 30, and you have price over the weekly 50. So, again, building our list for what's going to be happening out there. This one is a little bit less ripe. You can see that the 50 has not quite crossed over the 200, But you can see with the other ones that I've shown you that when something like that does start to happen, good things have typically come after that. So again, wanted to show you a variety of things that are in have potential to start doing something. All right, then we come over to here. Let's do INDI. And here you go. What do we have? Price over the monthly 10, even pulling back to the monthly 10, but still over the monthly 10. There's your double bottom. There's your Moxie price trigger. You have the 8 over the 21, over the 30, over the 50. And what happened? Well, yeah, good move, but overbought. And what did it do? Well, now it's pulling back. So let's look a little bit lower and see if that pullback could be constructive. Well, what do we have? 50 over the 200. We have that pullback, and now really all we're just going to do is wait and watch to see when this thing comes down, find some support, and then start turning back to the upside. And this might be one of those that could set us up for the next move to the upside. All right. And again, this might start becoming really repetitive, but you know what? I think it's nice to see repetition because then it helps train you and see so you can see what it is that all these things have in common to help make a big stock move. Price over the monthly 10, there's the 8 over the 21. We've got price over the 30, over the 50. The Moxie indicator's close to firing, and there's been some volume coming into this name IREN. And again, if we come over to here, and now what are we noticing? Just about having the 50 cross over the 200. Yeah, it got a little extended, but watch for the pullback. Let's see where these things start finding support as they come back down from these big moves that have starting to get some attention. Okay, so Irene and then KC, same deal, right? These are all looking the same. Now, this kind of goes back to what I was thinking about with the market. The market, the S&P, is also over its monthly 10. What are we seeing with a lot of these names? They're starting to get back over their monthly 10, even after a big move to the downside. So even if the market does correct or pull back or the recession and stuff like that, there are some names that have stopped going down and they're starting to go up. And so I think we need to keep an eye on this and not be too distracted by what's going on with the news and everything else out there. We really just need to keep trading the charts. And what I'm seeing is, again, there's the Moxie price trigger. And there we have price pulling back into the weekly 30, the weekly 50. The 8 was still over the 21, and there was a big move. Now, again, overbought. Now we see this thing pulling back, and what we're going to do is try and figure out when will this thing pull back and find some support that we can then snag it to the upside. But notice 50 crossing over the 200. There's a double bottom actually, and then yeah, we just got way too extended. Pretty healthy pullback. Now that looks like it would be a good opportunity for us to start looking around and figuring out when will this thing confirm the next leg to the upside. And then Lulu. Amazingly, I don't even know how Lulu is doing it, but they're up on earnings. And you can see here, price pulled back into the monthly 50 and back over the monthly 10, just like the market, just like a lot of these other names. And you can see a pretty good strong move here. The Moxie indicator is probably about to fire on the weekly chart. And if we come down to the daily chart, what do we have? 50 crossing over the 200. Okay. So this might be a little bit challenging of a place to just go in right now, unless you're a very short-term trader. I would see if there's an opportunity sometime in the future on a pullback, whenever that might happen. So just be careful about trying to snag some of these that are really kind of up there a little too far. Then SQSP, Squarespace. I'm sure everybody has seen their commercials quite a bit. They do a good job advertising, but what do we have? Price over the monthly 10. All right. See how it used to be in a downtrend? See now how it's reversed? Now we just have to figure out ways to get into this. How about the Moxie price trigger? How about the 8 over the 21? How about price over the 30, over the 50? All those things. Okay. But also notice that price is probably a little extended to the high side. It's very up there. And what we've seen on some of the other names that I've shown you that they pull back, well, they pull back something around there. So don't necessarily go chasing these. These are for your watch list. There's the 50 crossing over the 200, and watch for these things to start coming back down. Come back down, find some healthy support, and let's see if we can find the next round to go higher with them. Okay. All right. Squarespace and then ROIV. You can see what's been going on. Price over the monthly 10. In fact, it is pulling back or flagging into the monthly 10. And just like all the other names, what do we have? There's the Moxie price trigger. There's the 8 over the 21, price over the 30, over the 50. And you know what? Just like I showed you with the other ones, Where were they likely to pull back? Well, when price got very extended over the 30 TR and all that kind of stuff, and what it do? It took several weeks, but it did pull back. And where did it pull back into? Weekly 30. And then let's look at the daily chart. What do we have? There's the 50 crossing over the 200. Yes, it was too high. It peaked out. And what it's doing? Pulling back, pulling back. And you know what? Looks to me like it's found that support that it wanted. Whatever it might be, whatever signals it gives, that looks like that might be the next start to the up move. So now we just kind of have to finesse our way into it. But ROIV looking very interesting. All right, then let's take a look at DV. All right, so I think you guys get it at this point. What are we seeing? We're starting to see all these things start to change directions. There's the Moxie price trigger, and everything is looking fairly good up. Now, of course, this is not all stocks. This is not the majority of the market. I'm selecting these things to try and show you what I think is working in the market right now and give us some opportunities. Notice the 50 crossing over the 200, and price is coming in a little bit. Now we just have to wait and see where that support is going to be. All right, then HIMS, another fairly strong mover. Might be taking some of its medication too. But what do we have? Monthly 10, Moxie price trigger, holding the 21. And you know what? There was a little bit of a pullback here. I'm amazed that this thing is up. I was about to snag some the other day, but the market started pulling back and kind of, chased me out of it. So I got to see if there's another way to find myself into a trade like this. But there you go. There's another big mover that it's starting to work. Okay. And then MBLY. Now, Mobileye has earnings coming up, I think, early next week after this comes out. But what has it been doing? Really just kind of flagging in through there. It's been on a steady trend. Look at this trend line here. Look at how well it has been holding that trend line. And it looks like, just wants to do this. Now, you're going to have to take your risk, your decision with that earnings. I don't tend to like to trade earnings, but this thing is on a pretty good trajectory moving up. So something to really keep an eye out with Mobileye. All right, then we can talk about the cryptos. So, first things first, let me I like to just show you GBTC. I know it's not perfect. It's not the most accurate representation, but what you'll notice is GBTC as representing Bitcoin. What is it doing? It is over the monthly 10. We have the 8 over the 21. We have price over the 50, over the 30. The Moxie indicator will eventually cross, I'm sure, but we are starting to see a trend change with these things. Now, again, just like some of the other names, it's up pretty high. It's up around that 30 ATR. It looks pretty extended. Yes, they are starting to pull back, but what if this is the beginning of a major move? So yes, it's kind of broken up over the weekly 50. There could be a pullback, could be a sizable pullback, but start watching for that pullback to find support and strength and could set us up for something in the future. What do we have on the daily chart? Again, 50 crossing over the 200. Okay. And then if we take that and we look at maybe individual names, Riot, it's been having a pretty great trade, pretty good time. Look at that. Big moves, big volume coming into it. It's the same situation over all the moving averages, changing trend. And you can even see Mara doing the same thing. Look at all that volume. Look at all that volume coming in there. All right. So big volume. And look, we have the 8 crossing over the 21. We have the price over the 30, price over the 50, all that, and we are working to try and get over the monthly 10. So there are a variety of positions that the cryptos and the crypto miners are in. So, pick the winners because there are going to be a few that are doing better than others. Like Riot and Mara are pretty much the leaders. Hut, Hive, they're not doing quite as well. But some of these are looking all right. And we come down here. As I said, so Riot, I think the daily 50 has crossed over the daily 200. This one, not yet, but I think it's going to. I think it's working on that and could be moving up. So take these, as a category, but figure out which ones are doing best and stick with those. And then if we look at gold, just kind of GLD, yes, we had a big move. We need to let it rest. I think, as you can see here, big move up here. It's kind of up into resistance. We got to let this thing come down. GDX, gold miners, they are in process of resting, pulling back, and we need to look for the next opportunity. Now, the reason I'm mentioning this, other than everybody knowing about it, is the fact that, again, just like everything else I showed you, is over the monthly 10. And what I like about it is it actually pulled back into the monthly 10 and then went up. So as long as something like this continues, keep watching those ebbs and flows on the weekly, daily timeframes and keep finding those low points in order to get in. If we do come over to the daily chart, what are we noticing? 50 crossed over the 200. Okay, so there are trend changes, but yes, it's a little too high up here. Let's wait for price to come back down, figure out where its support is going to be, and see if we can catch the next run up. Gold, GDX, the miners, silver, even they're kind of doing the same stuff on this. Okay, so that's kind of the big overview of what's going on. Mostly, I was looking at the monthly, weekly, daily time frames, and you're going to have to kind of find your spots to get in because I just wanted to show you stuff that is moving that I think on a longer term time frame have been coming up from the lows, and they could be at the beginning of new longer term trends. So kind of find your way into some of them and make sure you don't buy too high. So take a look at them, enjoy the list. Let me throw that up there one more time for you so you can see it even at the end. Oh, there we go. That's why. And hopefully that'll give it to you. And we should have it also, I'm sure, in the description, something like that. So thanks again. And if you guys are interested in checking more out of how I look at stuff, come over to the Moxie Trader trading room and over at Simpler Trading. Thanks again for checking out. Catch you guys later.